Shabbat morning. Welcome to Shabbat story time at Congregation Dor Tamid, coming to you from my house. I'm here with Caden, and Noah is right over there off camera. Keshet's right behind me, and we're all ready to begin this special Passover-themed story time as we get ready for the holiday tonight. So let's begin, though, because it still is Shabbat, by singing about Shabbat and how beautiful a day it is, and then we'll get into our Passover stuff today. Bim, bam, bim, 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 bam, bim, 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 bam, chiri, biri, biri, bim, bam, bim, 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 bam, bim, 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 bam. Shabbat shalom, hey, Shabbat shalom, hey, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom, hey, Shabbat shalom, hey, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shabbat shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, hey, Shabbat shalom, hey, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat shalom. Ma yafeh hayom. Shabbat shalom, ma yafeh hayom. Shabbat shalom, Shabbat, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom. And we see the Herman family's joining us, and Noah and Caden's grandma's joining us this morning. And if you're here, you can say hi in the chat too. Let us know you're here as we have this special Passover story time. So a long, long time ago, our ancestors, the ancient Israelites, were slaves to Pharaoh in Egypt. And they had to work all day and work all night. And they had to do everything the Pharaoh asked them to do and build great big cities and make bricks and mortar. And they worked really hard, even though they didn't really want to. And all they really wanted to do was go back to their homeland in the land of Israel. But Pharaoh wouldn't let them because, as our song tells us, we were slaves in Egypt. Avadim hayinu, hayinu. Ata b'nei chorin, b'nei chorin. Avadim hayinu. Ata b'nei chorin. Avadim hayinu. Ata b'nei chorin, b'nei chorin. Ata b'nei chorin, b'nei chorin. Well, after many, many years of being slaves to Pharaoh in Egypt, God heard that our ancestors were calling out to God, saying, "We want to be free. Please help us." So God came to Moses in a burning bush, and God sent him before Pharaoh, and God told him to tell Pharaoh to let my people go. And so Moses went to Pharaoh and he said, "Oh, listen, oh, listen, oh, listen, King Pharaoh. Oh, listen, oh, listen, oh, listen, King Pharaoh. Please let my people go. They want to go away. They work so hard all day. King Pharaoh, what do you say?" And Pharaoh said, "No, no, no, I will not let them go. No, 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 I will not let them go." Well, Moses told Pharaoh that if he didn't let the Israelites go, if he didn't let our ancestors go, that God was going to bring the plagues on Egypt, and God was going to punish Pharaoh for not freeing the Israelite people. So the plagues started coming, and the first one was all the water in the land turned to blood. And the second one morning when Pharaoh woke in his bed, there were frogs in his bed and frogs on his head, frogs on his nose and frogs on his toes. Frogs here, frogs there, frogs were jumping everywhere. Well, after all 10 plagues, Pharaoh finally said that the Israelites could go free. And so they went free on their way to freedom, and they were so happy. And God kept giving us gifts. God gave us Shabbat. God gave us the Torah. God gave us all these different great things. And after each one, we said, if God had only done that and not all the other stuff, it would have been enough. And enough in Hebrew is the word dayenu. Ilu, ilu, hotzianu mi Mitzrayim, hotzianu mi Mitzrayim, dayenu, 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 dayenu. Ilu natan lanu eta Shabbat, natan lanu eta Shabbat, dayenu, 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 dayenu. Ilu natan lanu eta Torah, natan lanu eta Torah, dayenu, dayenu, dayenu. Dayenu, dayenu, dayenu. And the people went forth to freedom. They went all the way after a long journey through the wilderness to the promised land in Israel. And they remembered their story, and they told it each year, remembering when we were slaves in Egypt, so that we could make sure to work for the day when all people are free, when all people have equality and freedom and are able to do what they want to do in the world. Tell me later. When Israel was in Egypt land, let my people go. Oppressed so hard they could not stand. Let my people go, 'cause God said, go down. Moses, way down in Egypt land, tell old Pharaoh to let my people go. So the book we're going to share this morning is about that journey from slavery to freedom, specifically at the point when we were leaving Egypt and getting to the Sea of Reeds, this big piece of water, this big sea that we couldn't cross. There was no bridge. There was no way around it. And Pharaoh was coming. We were stuck at the sea until the waters split. And this story is about Nachshon, a brave person who went into the water to help our people get to freedom. So this story is called Nachshon, who was afraid to swim. And it's a Passover story by Deborah Bowden-Cohen, and illustrations are by Jaga. In the days when Pharaoh ruled, and the pyramids cast their shadows over Egypt, there lived an Israelite slave named Nachshon. Nachshon's parents, grandparents, and even his great-great-grandparents had lived as slaves. But Nachshon knew that long ago his family had been free, and he dreamed of freedom every night. From dawn to dusk under the midday rays of the desert sun, Nachshon's father and brothers toiled in the quarries, mixing straw and mud into bricks. Nachshon slipped past the taskmasters and smuggled in cool drinking water for them. Neither the Egyptian taskmasters nor Pharaoh himself scared the young boy. His family began calling him Brave Nachshon. When Pharaoh and his royal courtiers arrived in the city market, most slaves fled in fear, not Nachshon. He trailed behind and spied on them. Whatever Nachshon learned, he reported to the Israelite elders. Soon everyone began calling him Brave Nachshon. Nachshon, though, had one fear. In the evening, when most slaves took a cool swim in the river Nile, Nachshon stood anxiously on the river's edge. He put his toes in the water and trembled. Some days he imagined a giant crocodile grabbing his legs. Other days he pictured himself sinking slowly to the river's bottom, as though bricks were tied to his ankles. The other slaves began calling him Brave Nachshon, who was afraid to swim. When Nachshon grew old enough, The taskmasters demanded that he join his father and brothers in the quarries. Each day was long, dull, and dusty. The years passed slowly. As much as he dreamed of freedom, Nachshon feared he would always be a slave. Just when Nachshon began to give up hope, a stranger arrived, promising freedom for the Israelites. News of the visitor spread like a sandstorm. Nachshon ran to the riverbank to join the crowd, waiting to hear him speak. "His name is Moses," whispered a fellow slave. "He says he is an Israelite, but was raised in the royal palace until Pharaoh learned his true identity. Then he ran away. He says that God has sent him back to Egypt to demand our freedom." Nachshon's heart leaped at the sight. Moses' face glowed like the sun, and his eyes glistened like stars. He held a sapphire blue shepherd's staff carved in the shape of a serpent. Though he spoke haltingly, his message was clear. "You must have faith that freedom is possible," Moses proclaimed, holding his staff towards the heaven. Real freedom means trusting in God. Real freedom means believing in yourself. That evening, their hope renewed. The Israelite slaves played in the cool waters of the Nile. "Brave Nachshon, come celebrate with us," called his friends. "Even today, with the possibility of freedom, are you still afraid to swim?" Moses saw Nachshon hesitate. He walked over, bent down, and whispered into the boy's ear. Real freedom means facing your fears and overcoming them. Nachshon looked at the river and repeated Moses' words to himself. It took all his courage just to dangle his legs into the current and splash some water on his body. The next morning, Moses approached Pharaoh and demanded freedom for the Israelites. Pharaoh's heart was hard. He not only rejected the plea, but he made the Israelites work harder. But Moses told the people not to give up hope. God will send plagues over Egypt to soften Pharaoh's heart, he predicted. The plagues did not frighten Nachshon. When God sent frogs, Nachshon caught a pair in his basket and let his nephews and nieces play with them. When God sent locusts, Nachshon picked each and every insect off the few vegetables in his family's small garden. When God made the land pitch black, with light only in Israelite homes, Nachshon ventured outside to check on other people. Finally, Pharaoh gave in. He told Moses to take the Israelites and leave. Nachshon and his family packed quickly, without time even to let their bread rise. The Israelites headed to the Sea of Reeds and camped on its shores. Suddenly in the distance, the Israelites heard a strange noise. First it sounded like rain, then like a large swarm of hornets, then like a herd of gazelles. Nachshon ran to the top of a small cliff and looked in the direction of the noise. It was the sound of chariots. "The Egyptians are coming," he cried. The Israelites wept with fear. They were trapped between the advancing Egyptians and the Sea of Reeds. Nachshon knew what he must do. Moses' words echoed in his mind. Real freedom means trusting in God. Real freedom means believing in yourself. Real freedom means facing your fears and overcoming them. Nachshon stepped slowly into the sea. The water rose from his toes to his ankles, to his knees, to his waist, to his shoulders, to his chin, to his lips. Nachshon repeated silently, "Face your fears, have faith." Just as the water was about to cover his head, a miracle occurred. Moses lifted his staff to the heavens, and a strong east wind pushed back the water, creating a dry path through the sea. All the Israelites joined Nachshon and walked with him to freedom. When they reached the opposite shore, the Israelites broke into song. But Nachshon simply waded in the sea and let the cool waters remind him that he was free, free from slavery and free from his fears. The end. So as we get ready for Passover tonight, we remember that story of Nachshon, of his journey and all the other Israelites' journey from slavery to freedom. And tonight we're going to have our virtual online Zoom Passover Seder. The link was sent out in the email that went out, in the email blast that went out on Thursday. So I hope to see you all there joining us for our Seder tonight. If you need a copy of the Haggadah, you can find it on our website. It is definitely family, kid-friendly. If you've got kids, or even if you don't have kids and you're printing the Haggadah, grab some crayons or markers because there's lots of fun things to do inside. So we'll sing 2 more songs to finish up. As the Israelites were crossing the sea, they sang a number of different songs, and one of them says that God is going to be our strength, God is going to be our protection, kind of like what Nachshon said. So we'll sing that, and then we'll say goodbye to one another, and Chag Sameach. Ozi vezimrat ya vayehi lishua. Ozi vezimrat ya vayehi lishua. Ozi vezimrat ya vayehi lishua. Shalom chaverim, shalom chaverim, smile shalom, shalom, lehitraut, lehitraut, shalom, shalom. Shabbat shalom, everyone. Chag Sameach. Have a great Passover. Want to say Chag Sameach, boys?
Havdalah.